What's up guys, Stephen Guadani here with 5 Tool Sports Science. We're going to do a video breakdown today of Hunter Bell. If you guys want a video analysis, go ahead and send me in a video. Hunter did a straight up, this way type of filming, and I was able to stretch it so it worked fine, but usually get a sideways view. It just works better for the screen. You can see it doesn't fill out quite as well in the zoom in, it distorts the quality of it. But if you can give me a sideways horizontal footage like this, I can do a breakdown for you as well. So Hunter, let's hop right into this breakdown for you. So I saw a few things here, Hunter. Most of this is going to be a back leg issue for you. All right, so getting started, keep your weight stacked inside of your drive leg, which is good. Let's see how you start moving down the mound. So this is where we start running the process. So right here, as this front side completely opens, that front foot starts to open, that front foot needs to really trigger the hip rotation. So what happens with you get pulled out of your load here, all right? You get pulled out of your flexion, and then you're also starting to collapse in to that valgus knee position off of that back leg, all right? So as we go forward.
All right, go ahead. No, don't tell me it froze.
Oh, there it is. All right, as we go forward into foot strike, so right, one more frame. This is the tricky part. All right, right about here. You early trunk rotate, all right? So you're pulling your glove side into that front foot strike. So you're hitting front foot strike, the trunk is starting to pull. What's gonna happen is that arm is gonna start to drag. Looks like you're late to arm cock as well. So you're pretty borderline. You're at foot strike, your arm is here. We want to see that arm flip up a little bit more. And then the biggest thing, this hip positioning is late. All right, so 3 things here. You can be a lot more closed because you're pulling this glove side to try to chase that early arm speed, okay? And you could also get this hip more powered through. So when you started that move down the mound and you get pulled out of your load, your front side starts to open, you get pulled out of your back leg load, your knee starts collapsing valgus. That's a really tough position to drive and produce force out of that back leg to power energy through the hip. All right, when you can't power this through the hip, you're not passing that energy through the chain, through the kinematic sequence. You're not passing energy from the pelvis to the trunk to the arm. What happens is this glove side starts going, I'm gonna overcompensate. I'm gonna start trying to yank this around so I can still pick up the same amount of force, apply the same amount of force to the ball. So you're really trying to cheat it and overcompensate by pulling the glove side because you didn't pass the energy through the pelvis correctly. All right, let's go forward a little bit more. So this leads to you dragging your arm, which I'm gonna show you here. Oh wait, but one more thing. I want to show you one more thing. Forgot about this one. Come on, one more. Deal with all this again. All right, right here. Another thing is your head is getting slightly ahead of your body. So ideally, you want to keep that chin, slightly behind your belt buckle here. You're starting to tilt and get too far forward. All right, and that's your front side pulling everything open. What happens is the head's gonna start to come with that. So you want to stay a little bit more stacked. See this chin a little bit farther behind your center of mass right there. All right, now we can go forward. All right, back one, here we go. All right, so here's where we'll see that drag. All right, if there's your shoulder plane, there's your elbow behind. Another thing is the abduction of the shoulder. That's pretty borderline, that's low. All right, so you could have quite a bit of torque hitting the front of the shoulder, quite a bit of torque hitting that elbow. That's just a big precursor to injury when you're dragging the arm through the shoulder rotation. And you've said you've been up to 89, 91 miles per hour. That's a lot of force in an 89, 91 mile per hour throw. So when I play your video in full speed, to me, it really looks like you throw a lot with the upper body. Like you're dragging this, you rip this thing really fast. You're not really using that back leg to accelerate. You're just, you look like you're a pretty big dude. You hit front foot strike and you just crank that sucker through. And 89, 91, this would be worrisome to me, seeing all of this hyperangulation. Next, we see as you start shoulder rotation, it's difficult for you to reach external rotation, get external rotation layback, all right? your arm is pretty straight up right there. Not really creating that external rotation and throwing arm where the arm is laying back in external rotation. Go forward one frame, it gets it a little bit more, but it's still not great. There you go. Here, you can't really see it here, it's kind of ghosting, but that's it right there. So really not a lot of external rotation in that throwing arm. There's a lot of velocity in that alone. That is not very much external rotation at all. Let's see, going forward, just get you to pitch release. Okay, here's pitch release for you. What you do really well here is a good front leg block, decent front leg extension. You could get more out of this. You could get a little bit more front leg extension and obviously get more forward trunk tilts out of this. But that's probably the best thing that you do in your delivery. The strength for you is really hitting that front foot and then accelerating your trunk off of that front leg into decent forward trunk tilts. So that's for a big guy. Like I don't know your height and weight, but you look like a pretty decently big guy. That's really your bread and butter right there. But the thing that I see that's really cool is you could get a lot more out of your delivery. You could get a lot more out of learning how to load your drive leg, not let it collapse and get pulled out of flexion. You could learn a lot more about how to then drive and create the that energy, the angular and linear energy through your pelvis that could then be passed up the chain. And then what happens too is when you can create more separation earlier in your delivery, basically like where you're hitting front foot strike and not pulling, but you're keeping your clothes and the hip through, that gives your body time. It gives your body time to go through a better arm path, which will then kind of clear up that arm drag and also probably give you more external rotation. I think a lot of your external rotation issues is really a mechanical issue. It's not a mobility issue. I would wager, I would have to do an assessment with you to really know for sure, but I would pretty much bet a lot that your early glove side pull is ruining that arm's ability to externally rotate. So when you can clean up this early glove side pull by getting better through your lower half, you'll see this arm drag clear up, and you'll also see this arm create more external rotation. Those are all factors that are going to help you with velocity, but also arm health. So those are probably the biggest things. And then obviously, like I said, you can get a little bit more out of your front leg and more out of your trunk. That was really like the bread and butter for you. But that is the key takeaways, man. Learn to load that drive leg better, where you're holding towards it and you're not letting it collapse valgus. This is the valgus position that we're talking about. Is this thing is collapsing in, this knee is collapsing in. It creates a really difficult position for you to create force. So think about like when you're doing a squat, if your knees are caving in your squat, you're not going to be able to produce as much force. It's the same thing here. When that knee is collapsing in, it's really hard for you to produce force out of this drive. All right. So you can get better there. You can get better at powering the pelvis open into front foot strike. You can get better at delaying the trunk and not pulling the glove side, which is going to clean up the arm drag and hopefully give you a little more external rotation in your throwing arm, and then you can get a little more front leg extension and forward trunk tilt into pitch release. But you got great size, but those are definitely the big takeaways that I would give you to work on. So Hunter, I hope this really helped you out, man. And guys, if you want to break down, be sure to send in a video, and I'll get one for you as well. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, guys.